Okay, good afternoon. This is the first in a series of cooking classes that I'm going to present. I'm going to make lasagna pie. First thing I need is onion and lasagna sheets, tomato puree, and a jar of passata. I use the puree because the family like a really tomato taste. Just open by pulling this off. I'm going to need some butter. I'm going to need some flour. I'm going to need some milk. And the main ingredient is this minced chicken. I like to use chicken, although lasagna is actually a beef dish traditionally. So that's it. I'm using a chopping board to protect the working surface. So we'll take the onion and the chopping board over to the cooking area. So here we have extra instruments that I'm going to, or utensils that I'm going to need to do the preparation and the cooking with. First thing I've got to do though is turn on the oven and let it warm up, ready for the cooking when it comes. I'm setting it for 180 degrees and I'll give it 90 minutes. So that gives it time for warming up and cooking together. Okay, so we're going to prepare our onion. The first thing we've got to do is cut off the leaf end. Then make a slight indentation or cut in the body of the onion so that we can remove the first layer. Just peel it off. I don't know about you, but the onion skin seems to stick to everything. So there's our onion, just about ready for putting into the chopper. I'll put it in this bowl. I'm going to use this chopper to cut up the onion into small pieces ready for frying. And first thing I've got to do is chop the root off of the onion and then chop it into smaller pieces so that I can fit it into the chopper. Careful what you're doing here. Don't want to cut ourselves, do we? See what I mean about the skin sticking to everything? A couple of little bits of skin still there. I would just pop those pieces into the chopper. Put the lid on. Attach the motor. Make sure that it's fitted. There we go. Chop it into small pieces. Very quick, very easy. Just chop it up. So the next thing is to remove these blades, put them in the sink ready for washing. Got to put them into this bowl to cut up pieces so that when I'm ready to start cooking, they're convenient. I don't have to scrape out the chopper. I like to use buttercup butter for my cooking. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut off a knob of butter so that I can fry the onions. How much to use? I just use agar depending on the job that I'm going to do, how much frying I'm going to do. So in this case I'm going to use about that much. Just stick that into my wok, turn my wok on. When I cook, I like to use gentle heat. I'm not one of these who likes to rapidly cook anything. So this piece of butter that's left here, we'll save that because we'll need to use it to make our bechamel sauce later. So while the butter is melting, I'm going to just take the label off of the tin of tomato puree. I like to use one of these safety openers. These cut the top off of the tin and leave the edge nice and smooth so that you won't cut yourself on it. The older type of opener, if I can find it, is something like this. And this just cuts round the inside, but it leaves a jagged edge. Could quite easily cut yourself. This one cuts around, leaves a nice smooth edge. So on the edge here, you've got a couple of little like plier grips. Just hook onto the piece that you cut round, and it lifts the lid off quite nicely. So my butter's melted. I just put the onion in, get ready to fry it. You can tell when the onions are ready because they'll be a nice golden brown, a little bit translucent. In other words, you can see through them. How's our onions doing? I think they're coming along nicely. I can see that they're starting to get golden brown. So the next thing that goes in there, so the onions are cooked. The next thing that will go in here is the mincemeat. The mincemeat's going in. Now we cook this until all broken up and you get little niblets of chicken. And they'll be white. Know then that once it turns white, it's been thoroughly cooked through. So just keep moving it around the wok and turning it over. It'll slowly turn into the niblets. You can see that the mince is starting to cook through now. You can see that it's turning into the niblets. It'll go a white colour, and then I'll know that it's all been cooked. See how that chicken's breaking up? The little niblets really starting to form now. It's not long till this will be cooked right through. Just a matter of patience. Make sure that everything's cooked right through. Okay, so I'm happy that this is all cooked through. So the next thing that we'll have to do after this is to add the tomato sauce and the passata. Got the tin of tomato sauce. There's always some left in the tin, so what I do is just add a little bit of water, hand on the top, give it a shake, and the tin comes out fairly clean. So we just mix the chicken and the tomato puree together. Starting to look really nice. Proper lasagna sauce now. Right, we're ready now for the spaghetti sauce. Spaghetti sauce is tomato sauce with Italian herbs in. So we just make sure that the jar is as empty as we can get it. And then I'm going to put about half a jar of water in to clean the rest of the sauce off. So there we go. I'll put the lid on, give it a shake. So we just give this a stir in. Bring it back to the boil. I'm going to add some Italian herbs in, just a little bit of extra taste. And so I've got the herbs fully integrated, we move on to the next step. Bring the sauce to a boil. As the sauce comes to a boil, the chicken starts to dissolve into the sauce and it becomes thicker. There we are, you can see it's really starting to thicken up now. We just keep stirring it. We just let it simmer away. The chicken will dissolve into, so here we are. Chicken all dissolved. I think we're just about ready now to start to construct our lasagna pie. Right, so I'm just going to move this over here because the next step, I've turned the gas right down because I'm going to make the white sauce that goes with this. So I need butter, I need flour, and I need milk. And I need a medium-sized saucepan. This is a tablespoon. Usually goes on the table to serve as a serving spoon for vegetables, potatoes, whatever. So, I need a medium-sized saucepan. I'll just get a medium-sized saucepan here. Just a little tip here. If you've got young children in the family, make sure that your saucepan handles are not in this position because they can reach up and pull the saucepan over on them. Turn the handles to the side when you're not cooking with. Right, so I'm just waiting for the butter to melt down now. So I'm going to make what the professionals call a roux, which is a mixture of butter, flour and milk. Patience is a virtue when you're making this roux. There we are, you can see the butter is melted down. So now we're going to put the flour in. Three spoonfuls. Tablespoonfuls. So we finish with the butter. We're going to stir this in so that the flour and butter combine into a smooth sort of paste. The sauce that I'm making is called a bechamel sauce. It's the base sauce for a lot of other sauces. I mean, if you were going to eat fish, say, you make a bechamel sauce, you can add into the bechamel sauce lemon, squeeze lemon in there, and maybe put some dill leaves in there. Now I've just put agar, how much milk I think? I think it was about 250 milliliters. So now I've got to just keep stirring and stirring until the flour and the milk combine. You'll see a change in the sauce. It'll become more and more creamy. So you've got to keep stirring and watching the sauce. Keep your eyes on it all the time. So you see now that the liquid is starting to change because it's got a yellowy tinge to it where the flour is releasing the butter into the milk. We just keep stirring and stirring. Now this is a very important point in the cooking process because you can see it's starting to come creamy sauce. So we're almost at the point where we're going to put this on in the lasagna pie. So there we go. I'm satisfied that this is creamy enough. I think if I turn the heat out now, the heat that's in the saucepan will be enough to finish off the sauce. So we'll just give it a little bit more stir and then we'll turn the heat out See how creamy that is? Right, so now constructing the pie. First thing we put into our tin is the mincemeat with the tomato. Spread that out so that it fills the tin. Make sure we got quite enough. Get our lasagna sheets. Lay our lasagna sheets in. Just break a little bit off for the last corner. There we go. So now we get our bechamel sauce. Make a nice creamy sauce of it. There we go. Put in some more lasagna sheets. Then the last of the tomato sauce, the mince and tomato. And finally on top of that, the last layer of the bechamel sauce. Now we're ready to put this into the oven. There we are. I've got a couple of pot holders there because the mince will be hot. So we're going now to the oven. Somebody's going to open the oven for me. Put it in the middle of the oven. Don't forget the oven's set to 180 degrees. And I've got about 40 minutes left on the timer. Okay, so I've just heard the oven timer click over, and it's ready to take the lasagna out of the oven. So I've got a couple of pot stands here ready, and oven gloves so that I don't burn myself. So let's have a look and see how this has turned out. Wow, that looks not bad. What do you think, Jack? So, there we are. That's Chris's lasagna pie. Next time, I'll have to think of something else to try and test your appetites. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching.